The field of 64 is set, and the Lady Vols run to the Women's College World Series once again for the 19th season in a row starts at home. So I decided why not also be out in front of Sherry Parker Lee Stadium for today's episode. Also, their media availability today was literally 2 hours before this episode is supposed to air. And in full disclosure, this weather is a little hit and miss with the rain, so I am filming today's episode out of the trunk. I might show it to you on the cell phone at the end of this show, but I probably should stop rambling at this point and get into the show. I'm Paige Dower, and this is the Field Pass. Last year, the Lady Vols snapped a near decades-long drought when they made it back to the Women's College World Series for the first time since 2015. Now, making it back to Oklahoma City in consecutive years, it might be motivation enough, but it doesn't appear to be what's fueling this team. Instead, it's when they won 40 and 39 regular season games, but still lost in their home regional. Of course, I'm talking about the 2021 and 2022 seasons. And if we rewind or fast forward, depending on how you look at it, we're about a week removed from the SEC tournament, where the Lady Vols lost its opening game, albeit it was the quarterfinals against LSU because they had the #1 seed heading into the tournament. But it all brings back a familiar feeling. And you're probably wondering, Paige, how are 3 different teams in 3 different years all connected? Well, simply it's because of their focus. They didn't have a singular focus. They were too worried about what's coming up next. And when you look at this weekend, when they get prepared to host the Knoxville Regional for the 19th straight year, it's having that singular focus that they need to maintain as their main mindset.
I just want to see a clear head, that when we go in there, we know we're trying to do one thing. We're not going up there with 2 or 3 options floating around in our head, and then we get caught being indecisive. And that's when you see those at bats where you're like, man, like they're not really swinging well. I think when hitters get too many thoughts in their head, it's paralysis by analysis. So what we've talked about all week is, just a real singular focus on what you want to do and then all in on that.
And if we dive a little deeper into that quarterfinal match against LSU, it was one of the rare times that Tennessee didn't have at least 3 runs on the board, because anytime that they have gotten at least 3 runs, they've won every single game. They've outscored their opponents 288-83. And yes, I triple checked that stat because it sounds crazy. But there are times when this offense does stall, and it puts a lot of pressure on the pitchers. And if there's any pitching duo or staff out there that can handle a stalling or sputtering offense, it's the Lady Vols. They've got Peyton Gatshaw that puts spin on the ball like nobody else. They've got Carlin Pickens that has heat like no one else in this league. But even them, they can't always shoulder that. When you only have 1 run, they had 5 hits against LSU, all of them singles, eventually able to get 1 run. Tennessee's pitching staff only gave up 2 runs. So they have no room for error in those instances, but there's still a staff that's able to shoulder the load in those moments, and they've relied on them time and time again this season. And it's that type of performance that they'll need to start their run to the Women's College World Series, but they'll also need the offense to help back them up as well.
Just knowing that if you feel like a team is starting to get on one or cheating to maybe what they're doing, that both of them have other options. Their game isn't just one-dimensional, but B, you can always go to the other one. And then it's a completely different look, and it's really hard for a team to adjust that quickly.
So just before that soundbite, I did mention the offense needing to step up, which of course is always easier said than done. You look back at the game knowing that you should have had a different approach at the plate, and then hindsight becomes 20/20. Well, how do you get out of that vicious cycle where you're waiting until the 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th inning to finally make an adjustment? Oh, it's far too late, because by the time you're making the adjustment, so too is the pitcher. And Coach Karen Weekly says if you're not sticking to the game plan or you're not jumping on those adjustments early, you'll be chasing a train the whole game.
Well, the challenge is if you don't start the game in a good mindset, like you know exactly what you're going to do when you're at bat, and you're kind of feeling it out and waiting around, and then now in the 3rd or 4th inning, you're like, okay, now I know. Well, that pitcher has probably adjusted her game. So now you feel like you're just chasing a train. And so it's us being committed to things early in the game, and then being ready to make, quick adjustments and let the first plan go and totally go in on the next plan in another at bat, or from hitter to hitter. And so it's, it's a lot of, hey, flush it and now move on and be all in on this.
All of that to say, you should definitely subscribe to the channel, and also it shows you how fast the game can turn on you. Tennessee was poised for a great postseason success in 2021 and 2022, but lost in the Knoxville Regional in both years. We can speculate why, but part of it's definitely because the team got caught up in the what ifs. Will they be the team that makes it back to the Women's College World Series, bring the program its first national title? And did a similar situation happen in Auburn, where the team maybe gets caught up in the what ifs of becoming just the third team in SEC history to win back-to-back conference title? Or is LSU's pitcher, Kelly Lynch, just that good as she handed Tennessee its 2 losses in their 4 meetings? We don't know, but we can speculate that LSU was a clear and recent reminder of how quickly this game can turn on you. Kiki Malloy and Riley West were a part of those 2021 and 22 teams, and they'll be relied on to remind this team how quickly it can change on you. Otherwise, you're going to get struck out looking once again. And if you don't have that immediate focus on your next at bat at your current opponent, they'll be ready to take the spot from you.
We just take it as, like, it sucked, yeah, but, like, that's not, we are still playing now, and we just have to take that game as, like, a learning experience and just be like, just get it done, like, find a way to win, because we did not like the feeling after that, and we just have to keep going.
How does that fuel you guys for this upcoming game Friday?
Like, now we know we lose, we go home. Like, yeah, like, we have to get it done now. We have to find any way to win, and just not being one person be the hero. We have to find ways on and find a way to win.
And at this point in the season, where it really is win or go home, it is double elimination. So a lot of what I'm saying probably sounds a lot like doomsday, but you're essentially all but 1 or 2 losses away from your season being completely over. There is not another tournament after this, like in the SEC getting ready for the NCAA. And while, again, it sounds like doomsday, what gives this team and should give Lady Vol fans a lot of confidence is the leadership comprised within the team. I already mentioned Kiki Malloy and Riley West, and I'll mention them again because they're part of the seniors that gave Karen Weekly a really gratifying feeling after they got back from Auburn, the SEC tournament. So she's telling us the story that it was, I believe, Saturday. The coaches had, a coaches meeting early in the morning. They had practice scheduled for 1 p.m. and Karen Weekly saying that she's, hearing some rumbling out in the hallway. And it's actually the team at 11:30 in the morning, several hours before they were scheduled to be there, because they had a player-led meeting that they didn't like the feeling that they suffered in Auburn, and they don't want to feel it again, because if they feel it again, it will likely mean that their season's over. So they got to practice early.
The seniors that were a big part of that meeting, it's their last year, and they want to go all the way, and so does everyone else. So they did really well just taking the team together in the time we needed it most, and just regrouping and just focusing on the end goal.
But thankfully they have the nice luxury of starting their 19th straight run to Oklahoma City from here at home at Sherry Parker Lee Stadium. That game is slated for Friday at 2:30. We are at the end of the show. I told you I would tell you how crazy it looked from my trunk. I will shoot this horizontally. And of course, as I'm doing this, the skies are piercing blue. But I'm telling you, when I did this earlier, it was raining and I didn't want to chance it. But if you stayed here that long, hopefully that moment right there was entertaining enough, because my trunk looks crazy and I'm hoping we don't hear the birds too much, but we shall see. But thank you guys so much for watching. I did notice a surge in subscribers earlier this week, and I really can't describe how happy that makes me. I know it makes Jimmy really happy as well, and I do hope it continues and we're putting out content that you all enjoy. But yeah, this is our show today, and we will be back Friday to catch you up on Tennessee baseball and other things happening around Rocky Top. Thanks, guys.